Before you sleep. It is time to sleep, but before you go, there is something I really want you to know. I love you much more than a big sandy beach, with sand dunes so high they seem far out of the reach. I love you much more than the things that we have made on a hot sunny day with our bucket and a spade. To build a castle from sand would be great, with seaweed for my roof and seashells for a gate. We could run to the rocks and we could use them as blocks, and for a flag on the top we could use someone's socks. I love you much more than the sun, moons, and stars, even much more than the red planet Mars. I love you much more than the outer spare tune, songs to the world by the man on the moon. If we could fly in a big rocket ship, what fun we would have on our magical trip. We could speed through the clouds to the heavens above, to tell outer space aliens all about love. I love you much more than the burning bright sun. I love it so much when we play and have fun. I love you much more than the world's tallest trees, even much more than a hug and a squeeze. If we were a bee thinking all we could see as we fly to the top of the world's tallest tree, we could fly all around the daisies and roses, floating on the air with sweet smells of our noses. I love you so much more than the deepest blue sea. I love you so much when you swing beside me. I love you much more than the sea's octopuses gone to school on their submarine buses. If we could sail on a big pirate ship, we could walk the long plank and take a quick dip. How great it would be to find us some treasure made up of toys. That would be such a pleasure. I love you so much more than the world's biggest plane that could fly us up high and away from the rain. I love you so much when I hold your sweet hand as we speed through the air to a faraway land. To fly around the world in a big jumbo jet will be a great trip that we'll never forget. High up in the skies we will get such a surprise to see wonderful things with your own very eyes. I love you so much more than the big dinosaur that ruled over the earth with his big scary roar. I love you much more than a big grizzly bear who could scare a T-Rex with a very cross stare. If we could travel back into the past in a big time machine, we would have such a blast. We could find a volcano dressed up as a scaveman and watch it exploding again and again. I love you much more than the Halloween night when we dress up as ghosts and give people a fright. I love you much more than the witch loves her room, mixing up potions in her spell-making room. If we could dress up and do trick or treats, we could fill up our bag with some nuts and some sweets. We could light a candle in a big pumpkin's head and eat some of our sweets before we went to bed. I love you much more than a Christmas Eve night when Santa makes Rudolph's red nose shine so bright. I love you much more than the elves' clever tricks used to make presents that every child picks. If we could fly to the North Pole and land, we could deliver our letter to Santa by hand. We could help all the elves load up Santa's sleigh and wave to the reindeers as they fly away. I love you much more than the world's biggest truck, picking up boulders and scooping up muck. I love you much more than red dynamite that makes a big band with red flashes of light. If I drove a crane and you drove a tiger, we could both work together to make mountains bigger. We could dress up as builders and bright yellow hats and build some apartments for eagles and bats. I love you so much more than the world's biggest slide, even much more than the roller coaster ride. I love you much more than a big theme parade, with singing and dancing as sweet music played. To go to a fun park would be so magic. We could buy a big ice cream and give it a lick. Imagine that day if you could be boss. You could buy sugar, popcorn, and eat candy floss.